Coming on to the next session, that is Between the Lines of Life and Literature. For this session, I would like to invite with a huge round of applause Jerry Pinto sir with the along with the moderator Kamla Pankata. Thank you so much, sir. Over to you, sir.
The name Jerry Pinto doesn't need recognition. I doesn't need introduction. He needs recognition definitely. Doesn't need introduction.
I need sales.
He has set the tone from the very beginning. So that sound was.
It will be nice to put some. Yeah, thank you so much. I need sales more than I need.
Because this is the misinterpretation that most authors face. That when you finish writing the novel, your work is done. That you've written the book. Actually, the book starts to become a book when the reader picks up the book and engages with it.
Yes.
That's when your heart and your soul and your one non-renewable resource. Every other resource is available and can be renewed, but time is not renewable. When you give time to a book, you give a part of your life to that book. And as authors, we are deeply grateful for this engagement, because what you've done then is said, I'm taking time out of my life and your words. So we hope that our words will therefore mean something to you, but only when the book is opened and the engagement begins does a book become a book. Thank you.
Oh, this is fantastic. Before I said something, it has come from the horse's mouth. Right. So, Jerry is an accomplished author, translator, journalist, and in that genre, in that many genres, he has touched upon and dabbled upon many of these roles and continues to inspire readers and generations. And he's one of those prominent names, though he says that sales is important. Yes, it is important. And that is how people have read him, engaged with him, and people have agreed and disagreed with him on his style and genre. But he continues to stir imaginations because he is a passionate human being who brings his life, lived experience, and wherever he goes, maybe another novel, he might bring some Odia character into that. So that is possible. He's from Goa, but brings in Mumbai into his analysis, into his presentation as well. He himself is a professor, teaches students in communication and literature as well, and translation. So before we start and go to the details of the discussion, uh,
If you're going to clap at all, then clap properly, not this half-hearted like rubbish. Like ada clapping is not.
thank you. Thank you.
You got it, Odia.
Right. There are a few seats here. Please, in the first row and second row, please. Please be seated. Please be seated. Be seated. So, first question to Zeri is, how lived experience inspires you to bring that into characters?
I think there is nothing but lived experience. Nothing actually. Everything else is imagination. What the imagination is imagination. Okay. Because what actually happens is an act of translation. The first time your eyes open or your senses respond to the world is the moment after birth, when suddenly you are taken from the most comfortable, the most beautiful, the most tailored environment that was ever created for you, that you are removed from, and you are introduced to the first four-letter word in your life, pain. Up till then, it is likely that there has been no pain. Pain starts a process by which you try to elude it for the rest of your life. The rest of your life will be a twinning. On the one hand, you will be seeking pleasure, and on the other hand, you will be eluding pain. This is what actually life boils down to. Now, you can then coat it with immense layers of philosophy. You can then add 100 different aspects to it, but this is the fundamental thing. Even when you open a book, what you are doing is seeking pleasure and eluding pain. That's all you're doing. Now, how does this then fit into this large literary landscape that we have created? You've opened your eyes and you've begun to receive sense impressions from the universe. You are a filter for those sense impressions. What has happened inside your head is an electrochemical response. Nerves are generating electricity. These are leaping across chemical boundaries in the synapses and creating thought. The thought is always larger, more beautiful, more numinous, more expansive than the word ever will be. We do not have enough words. We will never have enough words. We will never have enough words because as soon as you are born, your individuality will demand that you produce another word. So when someone asks you, do you love her? Do you love him? You want to say yes, but you also want to say yes, but that isn't the word. There's something that I feel which has not been felt before. Something that I experience between me and this person that has not been experienced before. It cannot have been experienced. This is not hubris. This is not your imagination. Because of your individuality and because of the individuality of that other person, this exchange that you call love, a word that is so overworked because you can say, I love my mother, I love Chennapoda, I love Orissa, I love mathematics, I love art. And each one of these goes to a separate part in the brain. And then you say, I love the person I love. And that's another part of the brain as well. So one word is given to us, and we take this word and throw it into the universe and expect that the universe will catch it somehow and translate it somehow. We hope, but we can't always be sure. And because we can't always be sure, the result is that constantly language is eluding us. Language is slipping away from us. If language were secure, if language were tangibly easy and definitive, in the way that, say, mathematics is definitive, in the way that, say, astronomy, which we just heard about, is definitive, you know where Jupiter is going to be at a certain point in time. You do not know what the word love is going to mean 10 minutes from now. That's the difference. So in the whole of this universe, lived experience is the only thing we have. And what we do with lived experience is sometimes we tell each other that this is truth. And sometimes we tell each other this is lie. But this lie, we say, the lie of fiction, has more truth than truth. Because nobody is reading a book that was written 300 years ago. Nobody is reading a non-fiction book that was written 50 years ago. Non-fiction dies, though it is supposed to be truth. Fiction lives because it is the lie that surpasses truth, encompasses truth, converts truth, and offers it up to you as human experience.
Very poignant and apt. Your book, M and the Home, Big Home, which won the Sahitya Academy Award, actually talked about the relationship within the Mendes family. And for that book, people have identified that it comes from your own experience of life and experience in the family and extended family as well.
No people had to identify this as my lived experience. I grew up telling people my mother is bipolar. I'm living with it. You live with it. It's got nothing to do with you because I'm not sending my mother when she's trying to commit suicide to your house. She's in my house with me. I'm living with that scar. I'm living with that wound. I'm nursing that wound. And you are a bystander in my life. In your life, you are central. In your life, you will say, looking at my life, because my mother tried to kill herself several times, not just once, 8 times in that I can remember. You will say, I live a normal life. I will say to you, how foolish you are to imagine that there is something called normal. There are only people struggling with each other to make meaning and sense out of relationships in which we are literally trapped. And so beautifully designed are these traps that while we watch our parents struggling with the trap, we seek ourselves to be trapped. We look for marriage. We look for children. I believe children are a machine designed to make you a second class citizen in your own life. You who are writing it down, your parents, your parents are only thinking about you. Yeah. They're worried what you're doing right now. They're worried if you've eaten food. When you call, what do they say first?
खाना खा ले.
Yeah. Why are they bothered? Do you not look like you can eat food? That you will find food, that you will snatch it from someone's plate, especially a man, and eat it? Of course you will. But parents just become caring objects. There's nothing else for it. So you will tell your best friend, I've got a ticket to Thailand this weekend. Coming? And the friend will say, no, Munnu's exams are on Monday. Munnu's maths exam. You say, you failed maths. What are you sitting next to Munnu and doing? And they say, you don't know, Baba, because you're not a parent. I have to sit here, otherwise he won't do his maths. And you think, so he won't do his maths. Big deal. He'll fail the... Ajay, don't say fail. How can you even say fail? That's parents. Now, if this seems even familiar, look at you, blue shirt with the checks. You're looking to get married and have children. What? Why? Why would you do that? You would do that because this is a well designed trap. Once you have entered it, from outside it looks like it's lined with velvet. From inside it looks like it is lined with other people. And as Sartre once beautifully said, hell is other people. So when people ask me, was it difficult growing up? I always answer, who found it easy to grow up? Who ever found it easy to grow up? Which person is there that, just sailed into this, went rump and got to the top? No one did. Some people have things that make it a little more difficult. These include poverty, disability, caste prejudice, violence. These are real problems. That your mother was mentally ill is not a problem for you. It's a problem for her. I could only write this book when I stepped away from my self-pity. When I stepped away from the feeling that only I have a mother like this, everybody else's mother, cook was वो
One second.
yeah, sure. What is happening? Anything? Someone announced the Nobel Prize for me. That's when you can interrupt. Okay, next time. Thank you. Or another Sahitya Academy Award also will do. चलेगा. दूसरा मिला तो क्या? Yeah. Um, right. The point I think is because I was Vedi ka bachcha, which means the mad woman's son. I didn't have friends in school. So I remember walking to college and thinking and praying, actually praying to God and saying, nothing else in college. I want one friend. I just want one friend, one person I can talk to. And this, what you see right now, no? This is facade. This is put on for you. This is a pretense at being a full human being. And I can only do this when I'm acting this. Inside, I'm still Yuri. Inside, I'm still worried and tense and disturbed and fraught by the possibility that people might hate me. But this is what I put on when I have to come out and be a public person. I realized in college that if you could manage this act of alchemy, you saved your vulnerability for those who would treat you with gentleness, and you put on a performance for those who wanted performance. And once you did that, you were safe. Yuri doesn't know this in my novel. Yuri has no skills. Yuri just wants to be someone's friend. And he has no idea that to attract a friend, you have to give off self-love. But if you can't love yourself, very few people are likely to love you. The struggle to be someone who is lovable starts with looking in the mirror in the morning and saying to yourself with full seriousness, looking at yourself in the eye and saying aloud, I love you 10 times. Every morning, 10 times. Look in the mirror and say aloud, I love you. Reassure that small person inside you who still has a deficit of love. Reassure that person that one person loves him or her or them unreservedly and full hearted, which may be one definition of friendship. That there is someone who has our back all the time, even when we are at our worst. Yeah. So Yuri was and I went to college, I remember, and I sat there thinking, I am ill equipped for this because I was from Mahim, which is a very small place in Bombay, and all the other people were from South Bombay, from elite schools, and they were talking about rock music and they were talking about Western films, and I only saw Hindi films. And there was a very nut job Parsi girl who I eventually became very good friends with. But she suddenly said on the first day, she said, "Do you mind if I put my nose into your back?" So I said, "No, I don't think so, but why?" She said, "No, your clothes smell of sunlight soap, and my ayah used to wash her saris in sunlight soap, and I lost my ayah last year, and I just want to smell her again." So my shirt became this woman's ersatz ayah every day. Okay, every day suddenly a nose would bury itself in my this thing because I was her ayah. That was the kind of social stratification we had in college, right? And part of me understood in a very clear way that they were not at all. There was no competition. I was 14 years old when I joined college. I jumped years in school because I was fabulously bright. Okay. I am very good. If you think this is good, man, you should see me with an examination paper. I am so extraordinarily good with exams because I understand that there is nothing to do with an examination that has anything to do with life. It is self-fulfilling. You need to drive the examination as if you're driving a Ben Hur chariot in a film. It's imaginary. If you have ever failed an examination or even done badly, get it. It's of no consequence in the world. Okay. You just look at government these days and see how many people have degrees. Yeah. And see what they are earning and what your parents are earning with their PhDs. Okay. So fundamentally, I was extremely good at being in class. You know, teachers would walk in routinely and say, Jero, my name is Geronimo Maria, by the way. That's my first name. They Je Karo Mani Nani Nomo. Who is this? I would put up my hand and they would say, you have got 25 on 25. Next time you will fail. I will set a paper like that. That kind of shit went on. It was stupid. So at one level, I was being completely, sort of like the educational system was giving me all the gratification I needed, but I had no friends until finally it broke through, and I had an argument with a person sitting next to me, and we became very good friends. And I remember going home that day thinking, this must be a dream. 1 year later, he broke my heart. I can say it now. All these years, I was afraid to say it because I thought it sounded gay. I'm not. I think friendship is deep and beautiful and as meaningful as love. And because he suddenly walked away and had other friends, he broke my heart. And when I started writing Yuri, I thought, I will put this down. I will put down my heartbreak once and for all. I will deal with it. And halfway through writing the book, that friend's daughter said to me, what happened between you and Papa? And I said, nothing. And she said, you're lying. What happened between you and Papa? I said, and I thought, she's asking. And Papa was there at his desk and he looked up and his wife looked up. And we have what in my family, we have a tradition called general body meeting. General body meeting is when you're going to say anything nasty or unpleasant, everybody gets into bed and hugs and then says the nasty things. So that it is at least there's a circle of love and caring and acceptance. And then people say, you broke my heart, you hurt me. So I said, general body meeting, please. So everybody got into bed. His son, his daughter, his wife, me, his mother. We were all curled up on this big bed, and I told the story. That became the education of Yuri. It was like, I mean, at the end of it, I was weeping. He was weeping. His daughter was looking at us as though, like, what is wrong with all of you? So stupid, Yola. But it was lovely to do that. It was really lovely to do that. Lived experience, man. Lived experience is so rich and so beautiful. Imagination can't come anywhere close to lived experience. It is so various. My family, my mother's sisters were both mental. They both had mental problems, and her brother was an alcoholic. If I had put all that into my book, you'd have said it's a parade of freaks. So I didn't, because I didn't want a parade of freaks. You have to edit life. Life is too complex, too magnificent, too beautiful to ever fit into fiction. A human being is too large for a book. You have to edit them down. You can clap or you can be very silent. No. Yeah, sorry. Next answer will be very light. Do I enjoy the process of editing? Okay. Writing for me is joy. Okay. I get up. Okay. So this is the thing. Blue shirt. You choose your work as your play. You don't choose work that anyone tells you will make you money. Okay. Because if you start by thinking about money, you'll end up unhappy because money is never enough. How much do you think is enough money a month? How much? Full na? 25,000 ना सी so sweet ना 25,000 मेरे को क्या 25,000 एक वीक में परवड़ेगा क्या like I'm going now to buy clothes ना 25,000 जाएगा उसमें ही because Orissa your ikkat is extraordinary but extraordinarily expensive also. Yeah. Yeah, all those full on. So I'm saying money is a moving target. You think 25 is good now? In 10 years' time, you'll laugh. You'll say, I thought 25 is good. Very good, excellent. तेरे मुंह में घी शक्कर लाख लाख जियो. I never got a government scholarship in my life. So I don't know what that feels like, but I started earning very young. I started earning at 14 because I wanted money in my hand because I thought money will make me happy. By the time I got to 30, I was earning huge quantities of money and I was not happy. So I changed over and I decided I'll put happy first and money second and see what happens. At the age of 30, I switched it over. I said, I'll take a job which will make me happy rather than will make me money, and I'll see what happens. And I've never regretted it. Never. लक्ष्मी के भक्त होते हैं, सरस्वती के भक्त होते हैं. लक्ष्मी के जो भक्त होते हैं ना, they have to tarsa all their lives. Saraswati, no, once you sign up with Saraswati, na, she's okay with you. Yeah. Thanks. And वो अपनी बहन से कहेगी, she will tell Lakshmi, थोड़ा उसको दे दे यार, ज्यादा मत दे, एक सैलरी दे दो यार, चल जाएगा उसका. And it happens. Saraswati looks after you. She'll never overwhelm you, but she'll look after you. So I chose Saraswati. And I chose Saraswati with the full understanding that what would happen is economy class tickets, bus travel, second-hand books, uh, second-hand kurtas given by friend after wearing. I'm fine. My mind and my life is first class. I get up in the morning with the one thing everyone wants, freedom. I get up and say to myself, Jerry, kya kar raha hai aaj? What will you do today? And I answer it. I say, yaar, today na translation karenge. And I say to myself, chal cha cha kar. I say, today I'll write a poem. I choose. Once I choose, I'm free. And no work is work. All work is Leela. Absolutely Leela. Me and Saraswati jiving. Cut that out and the BJP will say suddenly like, तू Christian आदमी jive करता है हमारे साथ. क्या legal notice आएगा? So me and Saraswati, we do an jugalbandi through the day. And yeah, I have for me, for any writer, the ability to simply confront what the antarakash, the inside of the mind, and say, what is going on there? Kya ho raha hai udhar? That's so lovely, so freeing. Why would you want money? For a little fun, yeah, and but Kalinga Literary Festival ticket bhejega, Mayfair में room देगा, lunch भी देगा, dinner भी देगा. चल जाता है. Collaterals में बहुत मजा है. Yeah. So for me, fundamentally, the world of words is the world I'm happiest in, because people have the ability to make you very unhappy and very happy. Right? And I have the ability to make other people happy and very unhappy also. But words are just so much fun. So much fun. Okay, so that's why I do it. That's why I write what I write, why I translate. People say, why do you translate? Why do you translate? Everybody translates. When you open your mouth to say a line, your brain has been functioning, your hyoid bone is functioning, your tongue is functioning, you're thinking thoughts that have been translated into words, and you have put them out into the world. Translation bina zindagi adhuri. But understand this, how significant translation is in this country. Put up your hands if you understand Sanskrit. Okay. Now, understand, how many of you have learned Hinduism in other languages? In translation. Your dadi, your nani told you stories about God in Odia, in Bengali, in Hindi, in Marathi. What you know about God comes in translation. Take my case. Jesus spoke in a language called Aramaic. We have 5 words of Aramaic that Jesus spoke in the Bible. The rest, the first Gospels were written in Demotic Greek. Greek. Then they were translated into Latin. Then they were translated into English. And then they came to me. Everything is translation bhai. Everything. You read Rumi and you say, oh, the crack that lets the light in. Rumi did not write in English, Baba. Okay? People wrote in different, okay, this fundamental, wonderful thing. This side of the continent, you can ask this question. But try, like I go to Punjab, when I go to Punjab, I say, how many people sing the national anthem? Everyone sings it. I say, tell me what the national anthem means. What does it mean? You're singing it. What does it mean? They say, Janna Ganna Manna Adhinayaka Jaya He means victory, victory. Jaya He means victory. Bharata Bhagya Vidhata, God, God. There is God here. Vidhata is God. So we are picking out words and we are saying this is what we understand, right? What's going on, boss? Yeah? A little more translation might help, actually. Yeah? So, fundamentally, there was one stupid film called Lost in Translation. And after that, everybody asks you, what is lost in translation? I say, Akal ke andhom. Can you not think of what is gained in translation? Andal, Basavanna, Rumi. How do you know these people? Basho, Ikuyu, Jesus, Shankaracharya, Aristotle, Plato. What do you know? And Aristotle and Plato, here's the thing. We don't know them in Greek. We know them in Arabic. They were wiped out. The Arabs rescued them and translated them. These were translated back into Greek. So what the West knows of Greek is thanks to Suleiman the Magnificent, to the Arabs who had kept Aflatun alive and sent him back into the
Thank you for that.
there is some part of us as writers, creators that want intensity unchanged. Because what we want to do is we want to take that intensity and stab it into somebody else. We want to push their faces into it and say, sewer, understand what I went through, see what it is like. Now, my first writings of M and the Big Whom were like that. Okay. And next later I realized that if I hold back and I do not let myself do that, but I write it as if it is a shopping list. as if it is a completely ordinary thing. The reader looks at those words and he or she brings that intensity to it. They are saying, oh my God, oof, oof. Okay. And that's what you want. You don't want to feel anymore. You have felt. It has crushed you. You are taking whatever that crushed self is and putting it on the paper. But you are doing it so that other people will know when they are being crushed that they can come to a place where they will write again. They will come to a place where there will be that moment where you have a little distance between yourself and the event. And on that little distance, precious as it is, you will write, you will start writing from the point of view that you say, this is my heart, but I am throwing it open. You come in and look around. You feel. I've done with feel. All the best. Thank you so much.
Hi, Jerry. My name is Sampad. I take your point about the importance of lived experience in producing literature, but that is one kind of a training that you have not asked for and life has put you through. Recently, I was shocked to discover that there is another school of thought on this. In one of these literature festivals, a novelist said, I wanted to write a novel, so I went to Harvard and did a PhD in anthropology. So people believe in training to produce literature. Where does that leave this exercise? I believe there is one more avenue, which is trying to guess the inner life of someone you don't know very well. You know exists, you have no access to them. Is that not another avenue? Can it be self-fulfilling? Can that produce good literature?
Okay, so the answer that that author gave na was his way of mentioning Harvard. He wanted to put Harvard in the conversation. Koi nahi pucha. No one asked him, Bhaiya, you have gone to Harvard? So he had to say, I went to Harvard and did a degree in anthropology. Everyone in the audience thought, tu shadi kiya hai ya meri beti hai? Like, can I get a... Then the female author, mera beta hai, you give him green card and all. Don't worry about Trump, hum samajh jaye. Modi will look after him. And all that is happening. Leave that aside. Um, the second reason to go abroad is to get away from your parents. Yeah, because your parents are watching you all the time. There you can have a love life and no one will care. Okay, and you can have a drug life also and no one will care. So you can do any number. You can have a meat life and no one will care, right? So there are many reasons to go to Harvard and many reasons to get degrees. I would not advise anybody to go and get a PhD in anthropology to write a novel. I would say if you want to write a novel, read a lot of novels. Just read a lot of novels. And if you have 1 crore jasti just lying around, no, give it to me. Instead of paying for an MFA in Ohio, where they will make you write a lot of novels, and then you will all write the same novel. All the MFAs come back with a beautiful novel. It is called The Abstract Noun of Common Noun. So it is the imagination of tortoises. It is the radiance of uh, canoes. Yeah, and inside you open the first page, it starts, she lay on her back and looked up at the ceiling. Once she is lying on her back and looking up at the ceiling, you know which is depressed. End of the book, you are also fucking depressed. Okay. This is very mean, but like, I really think you can get your MFA in a good library. In a good library. Like, just keep borrowing books, buying books. You have walking book fairs in your city. It's a great bookshop. It is a curated bookshop. I come to walking book fairs and take books home to Bombay. Like last time I spent 11,000 bucks there, which was not nice. There's one dreadful book. Oh, never mind. Let's not discuss that. But I'm saying there are many ways to write a novel. But every one of those ways, whether it's science fiction, it's imaginary, it's historical, is through lived experience. When I want to write about a slave in the 18th century who was whipped by his master, I can only use the pain I have felt. When my teachers say, gave me a caning, I multiply that pain and then write it. We only have the body. The body is beautiful. The imagination is unlimited. But together, this is what there is. And this is how the words are going to come through this stuff. So it will always be that lived experience. And then the imagination will take you to another place. Right? Yeah. Otherwise, we've got to be like those wonderful kings in Hindu philosophy. I mean, in Hindu myth, who or scripture, who were lived as men and lived as women, and then can be asked which is better. Most of us don't. We can only imagine. Yeah.
Small observation.
Yeah.
You have a session tomorrow. It's titled Lost in Translation. And I am moderating the session, but I have not picked out the title. So,
All is forgiven. Don't worry.
in
Come
case
back.
you want to blow a gasket, I
Uh,
wanted this information out there.
Don't worry. Don't worry. Already, I have a poem that I'm going to read out there. Sure. Please go ahead. Hey, गम छोड़ के मनाओ रंग रेली
So,
और मान लो जो कहे किट्टी केली.
and you won award also, national award.
If you start playing a Helen song, I'll dance on the table. I guarantee.
So,
Huh.
means my quick question.
Okay, so it was like that full. And you know where that song is, no? It's happening on an island where ek din pe ek khoon. Yeah, and she's dancing with two balls. So, ye bhi bade, mere bhi bade. It was so ridiculous. It was magnificent, but it was also very interesting that when we needed Helen to be a Christian girl, she could be a Christian girl. She was Rosie, Lily, Mary. When we needed a tribal, she could be a tribal. Mungada, Mungada, mein gudki Delhi. You haven't seen that song? Meaning, like, I start listening to these songs and I'm dancing. I want to tie my kurta underneath my thing and like wiggle. Okay. When we needed her to be the Countess Sophia, she could be the Countess Sophia. When we needed Miss Chin Chin Choo, suddenly Helen was like, Rat chand mein main aur tu. Hello, mister. How do you do? How do you do? Do what, babes, in the night? Great fun, yeah. Like the whole of it, like Helen was there promising that ये है ना, ये तेरी साड़ी वाली है. लेकिन मैं भी हूँ. This range of women. This is what womanhood can be like. And I wanted to analyze that. I really wanted to analyze what is it we are looking at when we look at Helen. How do we look at Helen? Why do we look at Helen? Why does she die so many times in movies? Routinely. And then, goli. She jumps in the way. Rocky! See Rocky. So that is like, that was why I wrote about Helen. Oh, so Helen ek taraf, Leela Naidu ek taraf. Okay, so Helen. Okay, so Leela, actually, Dom Morais was a very famous poet, and he liked my poetry, but he also liked alcohol, and he wanted you to come and drink with him. I could not. I don't like drinking. I have not drunk, but nasha hai na. I can be high without drinking. Why would I drink? Okay, so but I loved Leela. Her regularly, we used to talk, and one day she was telling me this story. Okay, what a story, man. Her grandmother is sitting in a villa in the Alps and drinking peppermint tea when someone knocks on the door. So the maid goes to the door to answer it and faints. You can hear the maid going, "Dhub." So she goes to the door, and there is a naked Russian standing in front of her. I don't know how she knows he's a Russian when he's naked, but maybe there are like gunas that Russians also have. So she says, "Monsieur, please come in, sit down." And she gives him her husband's coat to wear. And he says, "I did not kill him." And she says, "Assuredly, Monsieur, you did not kill him. Would you like a cup of tea?" And then suddenly, like from the mental hospital next door, some keepers come along and grab this count. He's a Russian count who has been put there because he tried to kill Rasputin, the Count of Russia, who, like, I mean, yeah, this is one of those princes who tried to, four princes who tried to kill Rasputin. He lost his mind, so he was put into that mental home. I said, with a story like this, you should write this down. So she said, "Oh, how can I write? I can't write." So I said, "I will write it for you." And then, we started working on the book. And every week there was a new story. Oh, did I tell you, darling, about the time that a certain young man came to work with my grandfather, who used to make farming instruments, and then he beat somebody very badly, so my father sacked him. His name was Benito Mussolini. I was like, Benito Mussolini worked for your grandpa? And her father worked with Marie Curie. Yeah, he was a radiologist, so he worked with Marie Curie. So each part of her life was like this one then, at one point she's pregnant and she has twins. So of course Ingrid Bergman says, "When I had twins, I went to Paris." So she goes to Paris to go to the doctor, and there her Navlakha chain breaks, and Monsieur Cartier picks them up and says, "These I gave to the Nawab of Hyderabad." You think, like, what stories, yeah? How can you resist? As if you're a writer, na, older people, done and dusted, time up? Okay. No. So if you're a writer, other people's stories just are so delightful. And because, she was a natural storyteller, I realized why she couldn't write, because she acted her stories. So the story she was telling me about the time that she and her husband Dom Morais went to meet Imelda Marcos in the Philippines. Leaving, the head of the resistance gave her a banana cake to take home. So she was taking this banana cake through customs, and she said, "And there, Monsieur le Douanier," means the customs officer. And she immediately became the customs officer. "Madame." Yeah? Now, this is wonderful acting, but when you're writing it down, what do you say? Oh. No one will understand. So then you had to say the fat customs officer. And he's saying, "You were given this by the head of resistance, were you not?" So she says, "Yes." He says, "I must check if there are explosives in it." And he plunges his fingers into the cake and scoops up a big piece of cake and eats it. Okay? I just like lovely stories all the time, about meeting Jean-Paul Sartre and sitting on the left bank. Then this very strange story of she and two of the Nouvelle Vague filmmakers driving in Paris, and a woman tries to kill herself. So Godard actually jumps in after the woman and rescues her, pulls her out. And she says, "Oh, why did you save me? Why did you save me?" So Godard tries to push her in again. But then she stops. So I just love these stories. So what is not to write about that? Every week I would go over, sit with her. She would tell me stories. I'd write them and hand them to her. बात अलग है कि then she began to feel like when the book was over, that I would not be coming again anymore. That, she'd be feeling alone again. So the end of the book, my God, it took a long time for her to sign off. And I said, Leela, I will come and meet you every week, I promise. Sign off on the book. She signed off, and next week she died. These things also happen. Yes.
I would like to thank you. I read it as a different person. I read it one as a one person, and after I read it, I became a different person. I've cried so much after that book. Um, but my question is on writing about pain, because you are all you in your book. So when you write about pain, and there's so much pain, and you write about it, but the writing will also be published, it will be commercial. How do you keep yourself objective? There needs to be some amount of objectivity in the way you craft it. So it's pain and craft. That's the question.
It's a beautiful question. Thank you for that. See, the fundamental thing is that we pretend that everything comes from the heart, okay? And the writing comes from the heart and the gut, but the editing comes from the mind. The editing comes from a place where you are stone cold sober and you are saying, if I read this, what would I think? If I read this as, what's your name? Rituraj. If I am Rituraj and I'm reading this, is this going to make Rituraj cry at this point? Can I, within 2 pages, make her laugh again and surprise her? It's all, that is craft. Craft is actually the point at which you become almost as if you are a surgeon with your own text as a body. Now you are cutting. And often you are looking at a passage and you're saying, oh, I so loved this passage when I wrote it. It's so beautiful. And you're thinking, it's getting in the way. Out. Cut, cut, out. No looking back. Now read, is it working? Oh man, it's working better now than when that passage which I loved and which I worked on so hard. When I take that passage out, suddenly I find the flow has come back here. So therefore, any writer who tells you that they just write and it just comes is lying. It does not just come. Okay? If you consider Dilip Kumar, have you know Dilip Kumar, the actor? Yeah. Dilip Kumar spent hours looking at a mirror and just doing his face again and again to see what worked. And then eventually, after all, like the duk dargo, he would do this. And you would know that he was feeling pain because he's surgically looked at himself in the mirror again and again and again to come to the point at which he can do the minimum effort but make you feel the maximum pain for him. So catharsis, technically, people ask you after you wrote M in the Big Home, was there catharsis? It's not for me catharsis. Catharsis is for you. I write it, you read it, you feel it, you've got catharsis, not me. That's the technical definition. Is there anything else? Any other questions? No? I have arguably the best eyes in the room. Okay. Okay, joke. This is a fairly common belief in Maharashtra, at least, that if you have light, Orissa also, no? Yeah. I think it is because they feel ki, Gorong ke saath soa hoga. Someone went on that side and slept with a white person and got their eyes, and therefore you are not trustworthy. Something like that. Or they met white people and found them untrustworthy. Okay, you can put your hand down. So yeah, the self implication is appreciated. If you think about it, right? We met all these fair-skinned, white-eyed people, and light-eyed people, who turned out to be Europeans, who did savage things to our country. So over 400 years of colonization, There was a reason to think that light-eyed people are not trustworthy. Yeah. No, no, not you. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. He's Dutch. Okay. Huh. Thank you so much. You've been a wonderful audience. You will be an even better audience when you all line up to get my books.
And one more thing I want to say that this session was the most entertaining one. Like it was the most mesmerizing. You were like hypnotizing people with your words, sir. Really, really. So we want to have another huge round of applause for sir. So again, I would like to invite Srishti Sri Nayak ma'am to felicitate sir. Clapping should not stop. Thank you so much, sir.
Sure, sure. That's okay.
Sir is also very funny. Thank you very much, everybody.